I don't like the term diet. I feel like, when somebody says diet, you automatically, it's like adab, as if you're getting ready to punish yourself.
Yeah.
فأنا, it's more nutrition, right? I think when we first connected, my sister Noor put you and I in touch. It was about nutrition
Diet.
rather than diet, exactly, because nutrition, you want it to be something you do for the rest of your life. You want to build healthy habits for the rest of your life, rather than like a crash course that I'm going to punish myself for 2 months, and then my life is going to change. I wish it was as easy as that. You can obviously make a big change within a month, or even less, by changing the way you eat. But I think it's important for people to start to change their perception of the way they eat, and rather than dieting as a lifestyle change.
I see a lot of people go on a diet
Yeah.
here, where I will use the word diet as a punishment. And they do it only for, let's say a week or a month, like the keto diet. And there's so many that were out there. And then after a while, they go back and eat even more than before. So it's almost like, everything I've done, now I want to eat everything I haven't eaten, rather than a lifestyle where you say, you just work on what suits you as a person, and what nutrition can I have as a lifestyle.
Absolutely. I think that's the most important part. I mean, like, the problem with a lot of these diets is, they're very boring, right? Don't eat this, don't eat that, or at the end of it, you feel hungry. And so for me, obviously, look, it's all individual. It all depends on, your lifestyle, your current state of health, your age, you're a man, you're a woman. I mean, there's so many different things. But for me, the first step is, think about it logically, right? For the most part, it's not rocket science. صح? I don't have to, what's good, what's bad, for the most part, although there's a lot of confusing information out there. But I'd say, first of all, you know what? Some people will get offended, but it's, don't eat like a child. Like, you know what I mean? You look at a lot of adults, and, I know we're so busy with the way we live. You want to go eat out and this and that, but most people, they don't like to cook, or they don't know how to cook. And so then in that case, it's like, okay, what's the easy option? And obviously what's easy is what's in the food cabinet, or what's on Deliveroo, or you know I think, first of all, be logical. Look at food as food, right? It's of course, we have a sense of taste and a sense of smell. So you want it to taste good, you want it to smell good, but use a bit of logic when it comes to eating. The simplest ones, as I'm sure you'll know, right? Don't eat processed foods. Anything that comes in a packet, for the most part, don't eat it. If it is in a packet, literally pick up the ingredients list at the back, look at it, look through each of the ingredients, and think to yourself, does this make sense to me? Do I know what it is? Can I even spell it out? And if you can't, don't eat it, صح?
Yes, for sure.
And then the other simple one, I think, is, and I always say this, is because one thing that I tell people is, it's okay to eat butter, right? Something like butter, which everyone's like, oh my God, butter's gonna make me fat. I mean, we can go more in depth to that, but the point I want to make is, if your grandmother or your relatives in like 50 years ago, they couldn't make it at home, my advice is, don't eat it. If it's not a food, if it's a food that didn't exist 30, 40, 50 years ago, don't eat it. So, the M&Ms, or, I'm not a big fan of protein shakes. So I personally, when it, depends on, if you're very active and you can't get your calories in through food, then fine, have a little bit. But personally, I don't touch them, right? Again, it wasn't made by the hands of a person. It was made in a factory. Allahu A'lam, how, the process.
Was very important for me in terms of butter, for example. I always thought butter fat,
Yeah.
but then there's good fat. And as all you said as well about grandparents, I'm sure I didn't have the luxury of living with my great grandparents, but my mom, for example, have used salmon. ايش السمنة in English?
Ghee.
Ghee. There you
Ghee,
go.
absolutely.
Ghee. And all of these things are things that they are able to make at home, in terms of ghee, the butter, the oils, natural oils, coconut and olive oil,
صح.
instead of the other oils that are there manufactured. So these are very good point to mention to start with. There are so many households now approaching Ramadan and already buying the most biggest oil, and because there's a lot of frying. But honestly, for example, I come from a house, luckily, that is quite healthy, and my mother, instead of frying sambusa, she puts it in the oven, so
Bravo.
it still comes out nice and crispy, and there's no oily food there. And الشوربة طبعا, the soup that she makes also, from oats or the onion, or like it depends, veg soups. But you also mentioned to me something that stuck in my head, and since then I've been doing it, that natural food. Why don't you use natural food? And I've noticed we just get diluted. I don't know what's the right word to use, but we just get so attracted to all these packages and think it's much easier. They make it so easy for you and quick, so you just end up buying all of these veg and fruit that is already, potato wedges, or everything is in the oven, and it's not something you've made at home. But then once I changed the way I think about food, and I've started to use butter and ghee, olive oil, coconut oil, that's all I have in the cupboard now. Nothing else.
Bravo.
So no more vegetable oil, no more, any other type of oil. And the salt, again, sea salt. And you told me if you add more salt to your food, you will crave less sugar.
Absolutely.
This advice now I'm giving it to everybody out there, and now everyone.
Has it worked? Has it worked for you?
It has worked for me. Yes, for
well
sure.
Done.
Yeah. And obviously, I have a very important role to play, because whatever I'm going to eat, my kids are going to eat.
Absolutely.
So now the responsibility is double. Do I want to have a lot of, processed food? Do I want this? Do I want that for my kids? I don't want. So I might as well do it myself. I might as well live it myself. Eggs, again, you've mentioned to me, Sarah, eggs, eat as many eggs as you want. And we thought before, 1 or 2, and then the rest is a big problem. But it's not.
Absolutely. I mean, just back to our first point, right? Why do we eat? What's the point of eating? Okay, thank God, you have taste buds. Hopefully you have a good sense of smell. So you enjoy eating. But the other aspect is that, everything you eat, you are what you eat. And I mean it quite literally, that every single thing you eat turns into fuel in the body, and all of your cells are made up of the food that you eat. So literally, you can either eat yourself to good health, or you can eat yourself to disease, unfortunately. And that's the reality of it. And so we've gone away from, we live a super luxurious life where, and I'm bored, literally, I'm bored. I'm just going to order takeaway just because, I'm in the mood. I want to eat something. I want to treat myself, rather than, because we're spoiled for choice, rather than the primal way, which our ancestors, you had to eat to survive. So it's, it's not like, oh, I'm in the mood and think. It's like, no, I need to eat so that, first of all, I have the energy to go and do my daily activities. So maybe if you were a hunter, you'd need to go out and hunt. So you'd have many hours without eating. You wouldn't be snacking every 2 seconds, right? You'd be 5, 6, I don't know how many hours out before you came back to eat. Yeah, so I think if you also frame it differently and look at it as, food is fuel, food is good for me. It's going to make me feel better. It's going to make me be more energetic. It's even going to make me in a better mood. This is something that I think people don't understand, is that This, you remember, I told you about studying about the gut microbiome and the connection to mental health. People don't understand that through what you eat, it impacts the state of your mind, meaning you can either become depressed because of the way that you're eating. You can start to lose focus. So there's these days we live in a world where everybody is hyperactive. They have ADHD, ADD. They can't stay focused for 2 minutes. And food plays such a big role in it. Depression as well. Everyone, unfortunately, nobody really talks about it, but it's very normal for people just to go to the doctor, and the doctor, you go to the doctor. I'm not feeling motivated. I have no energy. What should I do? First thing the doctor says is, "Here, take this pill." Boom. And rather than trying to figure out why am I unhappy, does it have anything to do with my lifestyle, the way that I'm eating? The simple fix is you take this pill. So we can go into depth at another stage, but I basically was inspired by this nutrition protocol produced by a lady who was a neurologist. It's called the Gut and Psychology Syndrome, GAPS, GAPS. And she established the connection between gut health and psychological disorders, ranging from ADHD, autism, depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disease, things that we're told these are genetic. You're either born with it. There's nothing you can do about it, and that's it. But the reality, the truth is couldn't be further from that.
The GAPS diet, which you've recommended to me, and I started reading the book, and I started to follow also some recipes, because the books also gives you recipes, صح? And then I tried, I would say maybe I follow it maybe 70%, not 100%. I would probably, there are a lot of things that I would like to add that's in the book, but maybe I'm just a bit lazy,
Yeah, I think you're just too busy.
I'm
That's
too
what
busy.
it is.
That's the reality. But it's interesting because when you speak about doctors and professionals that you see, they will tell you to just accept what you have, accept the symptoms and treat it. But the one thing that is not discussed is diet or nutrition. And you say nutrition again. And it's not, there isn't even 1% hope given by professionals and symptoms and disorders like this. But only until you try yourself, you will see the difference. I had a question from one of the parents and said, is it true that the gut has something to do with the brain? Is it true that our autistic children, they have a leaky gut? What does a leaky gut mean? And I said, of course, yeah, even if we don't have autism or depression, or everything is we're going to eat, it will impact our health and our life and our mood. And then you need to know, some people need to know how to eat also, where to start from. How do I start this healthy nutrition and lifestyle? How do I change my lifestyle? And that's what I'm hoping to go with you, Ahmed. Of going to the farmer shops, and buy organic food and buy the organic eggs. I have followed these advices, and I hope that we also give people like a starter. Where do I start from? Where do I buy? What foods do I buy? What foods to avoid? You've mentioned do not buy packaged food and do not buy processed food. I don't buy processed meat. All these nuggets. I don't let it in my house. And I say to my daughter, you do not want to eat it. You don't want to eat this. we'll cook it. But yeah.
Well done. I mean, that's where it starts. You know, you need to try and inspire the people in your house, your friends, and show them it's not that complicated. But I'll give you a few quick principles just so that we round it off in English, about what the main things are. Let me just break it down, right? The way typically, especially in the sports world, or the fitness world, is they look at macronutrients, right? The macronutrients are the three big food groups. They're carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, okay? If you simply break them down, what are their functions? Carbohydrates are mainly a source of energy. You consume the carbohydrates, your body breaks it down, turns it into glucose, which is then stored in the body either as fat or it's used to fuel the muscles, essentially. And so if you're a person who's not very active, you shouldn't be consuming a lot of carbohydrates because your body isn't going to be using that sugar. You already probably have a bit of fat on your body, so you already have fuel that your body can eventually convert to energy. So my advice is, if you're a bit overweight and you're looking to cut weight, cut down on your carbohydrates, try to consume, I'd say, more vegetables. Avoid starchy carbohydrates. Things like potatoes, I would try to avoid mostly. You can eat stuff like carrots. You can eat stuff like pumpkin and squash, broccoli, cauliflower, and leafy greens as well. Fantastic for you. When it comes to stuff like bread, I would say, I mean, bread is another one that you can go in depth on, but bread, للأسف, it's so complicated. The bread that we eat today is not the same bread that our parents used to eat in their childhood. The grain, القمح, the bread's made of, it's sprayed with chemicals, pesticides. It's not been fermented properly. So nowadays there's something called sourdough, which is becoming very trendy. In the olden days, everybody used to produce their flour and the dough. They used to treat it so that it turned into sourdough. That makes it more easily digestible. So unfortunately, we don't do that much today. So in my view, one of the easiest things to cut out is bread, anything with flour in it. Most pastas, unless you go and get a really good quality pasta, anything that you can buy cheap pasta, personally, I would avoid it because it causes a lot of gut issues. And then when it comes to protein and fats, protein, essentially, I mean, amongst other things, it's the main resource to build muscle, right? It actually feeds the muscle fibers themselves so that they recover after exercise. But it has a multitude of other benefits. So, it's important for immune system function. So, if you're not eating enough protein, then it's very likely that you're going to be getting sick very easily, or your nervous system might be dysregulated. So your nervous system, we can talk about another time, but that's what keeps you calm, right? It allows your body to control anything that makes you nervous, essentially, right? If you're getting easily agitated or stressed out, you want your nervous system to calm you down.
If you have a cup of coffee, you'll calm down and you'll be just fine.
You see, this is an interesting one.
There you go.
It's coffee. Coffee is it's a funny one. It's a stimulant, right? I don't drink coffee. I never got into it. There are positive benefits to it, but it's one of those things where there's a question mark that we can talk about. So the thing is, if you're chronically stressed out, if you're stressed out all the time, and you're going to drink coffee to fix that, then you have a problem. You shouldn't, the body's stressed out, but you're taking the coffee, which is calming you down, and it's only masking what's going on. So it didn't fix anything, right? It's just a temporary relief.
One more advice before we go today, so we don't overload people with information.
Yes.
Those people that want quick sugar. Let's say I want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Eat a bit of chocolate, just a bit of energy before I go to the gym.
If it's good quality chocolate, if it doesn't have all of these preservatives and emulsifiers, and just read the back, look at it. If it says chocolate, cacao, cocoa, and a bit of sugar and milk, then it's fine. But what I usually do is I have a little bit of butter. Trust me, you'll like this. A little bit of butter, like a slice of cheese. I cut up the butter. I'll have a teaspoon of honey with the butter, and I'll eat that, and I'll have a tiny bit of salt with that as well. But let me just round off just back to the fats. So people are scared of eating fats, but the reality is that the fats provide fuel for your hormones. Your brain is made of cholesterol, which is fat. Your hormones, without your hormones, you will never lose weight. Without your hormones being regulated properly, then you will be constantly stressed. So it's very important, especially in a world where we're overloaded with stress, and we're always on the go, we're busy, we're kind of in fight or flight all the time. It's so important to eat good fats. And so what are good fats and what's a good source of protein, right? There's animal proteins and there's vegetable proteins. When you look at the human being, the structure, we don't have any matter in our body that's similar to plants. I mean, maybe on a cellular level, sure. But when you compare us to animals, we are more like animals. We have the muscles, we have the tendons, we have the bones, we have the joints, we have the ligaments, we have marrow. We function the same way. We're primates, right? So for me, the most important sources of protein and fat to feed the body, to make you strong, are the animal proteins and fats. So good quality meat, beef, lamb, fish, chicken, fantastic for you. And then also eggs as well. And, when you look at these meats in their natural form, they all come with fat. نحن صرنا دلوعين, we go and I want a fillet piece of steak. But, God in nature produced all of these animals with fat. When you look at the egg, people say, don't eat the egg. The yolk is unhealthy for you. First of all, it's the most healthy thing for you, as a lot of modern science is now starting to tell us. But it comes with protein and fat, so it's a combination. It's like the key that fits into the lock, and you have to have both of them together. So that's why even now we're talking about protein shakes. I don't like protein shakes because they've stripped down, for example, the milk down to whey, and it doesn't have all of the other minerals and vitamins. So, if you want to get protein, get it straight from the source. And then when it comes to plants and animal matter, vegetables and fruit are great for you. The problem is a lot of us have digestive issues, so we can't digest a lot of it. So the best thing to do is maybe cook it before you eat it. And what vegetables and fruit do is that they provide us energy. They have carbohydrates. There's a little bit of protein in them, but they provide us vitamins and minerals. And what these do these are sort of the things that make us stronger, but the things that also help our body to cleanse itself. That's why you're talking about these crash diets. There's a lot of diets that are juice fasts, where you only drink juice. صح?
Yeah.
It's interesting when you look at it from that standpoint. And the last thing is seasonality. Depending on if it's the summer or the winter, for example, you go to a hot country. I went to the Philippines a few years ago, and in the middle of the summer, there's mangoes, there's bananas, fresh bananas. Melons, for example. All of these things, they cool the body down so that, you can withstand the heat. So for me, eat summery fruits in the summer. In the winter, there's not that many fruit, maybe apples and pears where we live. But eat warmer vegetables. So cook your vegetables. Have some soup, as you said, vegetable soup. Have chicken and vegetable soup. That will heat the body. Faya?
Well, Today I'm making roast vegetable.
Bravo.
And I have lamb chops with a little bit of fat in it as well.
صحتين.
That will go in the oven, inshallah. And if the family are still hungry, I'll add more to the list.
Delicious. I'm sure they'll be full by the sounds of it. You're a great host and a great cook. So
thank you, Ahmed. Thank you for giving us the time today. And I'm looking forward to our next episode to discuss a little bit also how to make healthy food interesting, especially for young people that find healthy food boring, So I really want to discuss a little bit about healthy food and how do we enjoy eating our food. I know you've discussed today all the reasons of why we eat. So if you are sensible enough, you will know what you need to eat and why you're eating and what to consume. But if you are, some of the people here are busy and lazy and all of that, we want to try to give them a little bit of ideas of how to make food more interesting. And and it becomes a lifestyle. I hope
absolutely.
So, as we already on track here. Both of us, you are leading and we are following. Shukran, Ahmed. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And for the Arabic audience, we will do another one in Arabic soon, inshallah.
All right. Shukran.
Pleasure, Ahmed.
See you, Sarah. Thank you.
مع السلامة.